Hello, hello. Welcome, Knights, to a very special live event. So, if you don't know me, my name is Keith Dombrowski, and I am the composer and founder of the studio project Knightfall. And we released an album this year, physical, and we've been releasing all of the singles over the course of 2024, with the final one coming out on December 20th. And then you'll be able to stream the entire album on the 24th of December as well. So, hello, everybody who's out there. We got a couple people already in. So, why did I do this today? So, obviously, we have the release of Raise Your Fist, which the opening video showed you guys. And hello there in Facebook land. Um, so, we have a lot of stuff to kind of go over because even though I've kind of been out of it for a while, I've been doing stuff in the background while I've been recovering from my surgery. So, for those of you who don't know, I had a major surgery in April where I had a spinal fusion. My C2 to my T1 had to be fused. It was a very long surgery, 12 hours, lots of pain, lots of recovery. I'm still recovering and can't really do too much still, unfortunately. But then I had to have, yeah, I look much better, definitely feeling better. So, but then they found out that I needed a rotator cuff repair. So I also had to have a second surgery. And that one was even more fun because they had to sever my bicep tendon on my left arm to repair it. Yeah, because I had an amazing nurse named wife. Um, so you're funny, Rachel. They had to repair my bicep tendon after they patched the rotator cuff. So it was kind of a crazy 6 months here going through all of this. But luckily, in the background, I've been still writing and still composing, and I've actually completed a second album and got the demos done. And we are now beginning to work on some things. So, major announcement is we are actually going to be using a real drummer for this album, which is something that we did not do in the first album. The drums were programmed for Destiny Calling. So we are using a live drummer, and we have gotten the talents of the amazing Alessandro Kelvin, Brazilian drummer out of Sao Paulo. And he is, I think, the live drummer for North Tail right now. He did a European tour with them just recently, and incredible power metal drummer that's been doing, stuff with the industry for a while now. And he graciously decided to lend some talent to this project. And then he also played drums for Woods of Wonders, which is a prog metal opera by Gideon Ricardo. That is one of the reasons why I found a lot of the people that I ended up working with over these last couple of years, thanks to him and his project. So, with that being said, we'd like to welcome Alessandro Kelvin to the family. I'll be posting pictures and some of like the bands that he plays in a little bit later, either tonight or tomorrow, so you guys can get to know him a little bit. Then also, we are going to be adding a couple of power metal vocalists to this album. And I've already chosen a couple of people. We have a song called Into the Arena, which is Spartacus, basically themed, I guess is the way to say it. So it's basically gladiators, but it's inspired by the Spartacus TV show. And what's really nifty about this song is I decided to actually make it a dual power metal vocal. So on this particular one, we're going to have the amazing Luigi Serrano of Arcane Tales. He's been doing things in the industry for a long time. Incredible musician, incredible power metal vocalist. And another treat is we are going to have a second vocalist, and that's going to be Rodrigo Espinoza, or Roy, as he likes to be called. Good friend of mine out of Mexico. Great power metal vocalist. He does in Glorian, and he does what is it? Film Legacy is his two big projects that's out there. So yeah, we've got Roy and Luigi doing this with us, and it's going to be awesome. I've already got Luigi, and Roy. So they're going to be joining us on into the arena, and that's the track on the new album. And they are both fantastic. So I can't wait to see how that dynamic plays out, especially with the shouts and some of the parts where we're doing the blood sand shouts and stuff like that. Trust me, you can't. This is going to be an awesome song, killer power track song. We're having a lot of fun with this. So yeah, we've got a lot of stuff going on, and pretty soon we're going to have somebody popping in here that I'm going to be announcing, because one of the things that I decided to do is, after lots and lots of talking and conversations and getting to know each other about music, I found a person that really does share the same passion for Knightfall that I do. And that person is one of the guitarists on the album. He does, actually, the song that was released today, he does the guitars for Raise Your Fist. And I'll bring him in here, and there he is. So, permanent member of Knightfall, we're going to be welcoming George Acker as permanent guitarist for Knightfall. Say hello.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Can hear you just fine. What's up, man?
Awesome. Yeah, I just put the kids to bed, so sorry I'm a little bit late. But I'm excited. I've heard everything on album 2 that you're talking about, and album 1 is really good, but album 2 is gonna crush it. So I'm excited. I've already laid down guitars for one of the songs, and excited to work on more.
Hey, we got Heartlight on in the YouTube section, because this is streaming to YouTube as well. So I'm guessing that's Adrian and maybe Naomi over there in YouTube land. So what's up, guys? And if you guys don't know, Adrian has been integral on the first album. He played Achilles in Remember My Name, which George also did the guitars for. Yeah, it's Adrian. He said it's Adrian. So Adrian is an amazing composer and musician. There's stuff that he's doing with Heartlight right now. If you haven't checked it out, you gotta. It's amazing work. He's such a good composer and songwriter. So I'm so happy to get the chance to work with Adrian again on this album. He's going to be singing on a song as well. I was going to announce that, but I've asked him to do a song that is called Brotherhood of the Wolf. And I've asked him and Naomi to do the vocals for that. So I'm hoping when we get time to do that, we'll be able to have a really, really cool collaboration with Heartlight. So yeah, pretty awesome stuff. And Adrian is he's also a good just coach in general. He's a good composer. So we share our work with each other, and I learn a lot from him, and I become a better musician for having Adrian, be there in my life. So thank you, Adrian, for being just an awesome human being and an incredible musician to bring a different dynamic to what we do here in Knightfall. So yeah, those are the big things. And then George, I also wanted to talk about it's an honor to you, sir. I'm answering in the YouTube. George, so there's something else that we're wanting to do with the Knightfall brand here, that you and I have been talking about for a while, and we're in the beginning stages of coming up with the ideas to start building this world based on an idea that I've had since I was about 15, 16 years old. And the character that you see on the Destiny Calling album that's raising the horse from the dead, his name is Vaden Muir, and he is a hero that I created for myself when I was being bullied at a younger age. And he became kind of my alter ego and everything virtual, and kind of like the armor that I wear to protect myself from life. And we want to I've already created a story around him, but George, why don't you tell them what plans we have cooking?
Yeah. Do you want to tell them about the gigantic Minecraft world that you have that backs it up. Yeah, I've wanted to build a video game for a long time, and I have a background as being a developer. That's what I went to college for, and video game dev will be a little bit new to me, but I've been diving in and learning Unreal Engine for a bit now, and I think Keith and I are going to take this and this idea and try and build it into an actual video game. Like he said, we're still in the early stages, so there's not really anything to show right now. From my perspective, there's a lot of just learning and building out core stuff. But we're thinking about a game. We're also thinking about every step of the way, the music that goes into the game.
Yeah.
I know these days a lot of the games don't have the soundtracks that they used to have from like my childhood, and I don't know if that's just nostalgia or if things are different, but we have a very specific idea that we want this game to not just be a great game but also have great music, because clearly that's what we've been able to put out there already is some pretty great music. So and I actually, Keith, I'll share a demo with you afterwards. I was just working on something
Sweet.
doing that came in my head. But we're excited to work on this and bring it to life with great gameplay and great music, great story.
Yep. That's the idea. I've been spending a decent amount of time writing a lot of like history and how the world was created, deities, all of that stuff, the different races that inhabit the world, how we handle things like magic and sword play, like what are the inspirations there. I have such, I mean, I'm sure you guys know, but like from songs like War Cries, for example, you guys know that I have a deep-seated love of all things Viking. That's why War Cries was created in the first place, is because I wanted to create some kind of like Viking anthemic type of piece of music. And then, of course, there's a lot of you out there that have that same passion for that culture. I know Valkyrie's Fire has got their latest video. There's going to be this big battle, and stuff like that. So there's all kinds of stuff. Everyone loves Viking stuff. So with that being said, I've been diving deep into Old Norse, and I really just love the way Icelandic sounds. So I thought about what if there was a way to kind of create a new dialect with those two languages. So I've been using some linguistics programs to try and help me fuse that together, to actually create a new dialect of Norse for the game. And if we ever get to it, like a TV show, maybe someday in the future, that'd be really cool if that ever happened. But yeah, so we're doing stuff like that too. We're going that deep with it, to try and make this big world surrounding not just the game, but the music that we're putting into the game too. So all of the music that we're creating now, think about that, right? That music is going to tie in at some point somewhere within that world that we're creating, which is another one of the big projects that we've got going on. So that's pretty much a lot of the the updates and stuff. We still have CDs available on our website, so go check out our store. Shirts, posters, there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. So definitely, go check this out. The first 100 printings are going to be very special, and the reason why is because there was a minor typo on one of the pages. So only 100 copies are going to have this typo, and then it's fixed for the next round. So it'll be a collector's item someday, I think. Yes, legacy for the children. One of the things that my kids love to do is play games, and all three of my children love to play in Minecraft. So I got a server for Minecraft, and I just started kind of building some of the ideas that I had for this world in this Minecraft server. George just saw it like yesterday or early this morning, and he saw how massive I was building things, and just how intricate. So even in like a block world like that, it can be a lot of fun to bring something like that to life and create characters and put the coding stuff in there. It's a blast. And the kids had fun helping me build some of it too. Like they would sit there and see what I was doing, and they would actually help me, or make it come to life. And I'd tell them what this was, and then we'd put signs in front of it. We'd actually write signs in front of some of the buildings so that we could have landmarks and stuff. It was pretty. It was who needs an architect? Yeah, I am the architect. So that's pretty much, yeah. Minecraft is cheaper. It's true. It is true. But that's a lot of the things that are going on with us right now. So big things happening. Drums have been completed, so now we need to take those, and we're going to start working on orchestration. And George's going to start working on guitars. George had an addition to his family, so that's aside from my surgery, he's been busy with a newborn. So that's why we haven't really pushed for anything new in 2024. But we're hoping to get a bunch of stuff out in 2025 for sure. Couple of other things is I'm also joining forces with a company called Speed Demon Promotions. So Speed Demon Promotions is run by a good friend of mine named Josh Pinio, who is a fantastic guitarist in his own right. He's an extremely interesting human being, not what you would expect at all from a guitarist, as he is about 3 to 4 feet tall at most. Josh has a very interesting, disease called brittle bones is the common term. And he is an incredible guitarist, and he shocks the crap out of everybody as soon as he gets on stage because, he has to get up there with this giant wheelchair and all that stuff. But then he starts playing and everybody forgets that he's this little dude, this little tiny guy that no one would have thought could have played, thrash metal like he does. Right. So he's got a really cool, death thrash metal band right now called Dead Man's Trigger, but we resurrected an old company that he and I ran, I don't know, 15 years ago, somewhere along there, that did a lot of booking and promotion in the New England area. So he has started rebuilding that in the New England area. I am executive vice president for talent relations. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing too, as that company grows, is we're going to be looking for acts and stuff like that. That would want to potentially play out in the New England area. So if anyone has any desire to do so, please let me know, and I will forward the information to the right people. So yeah, he's going to be booking all over Massachusetts, probably moving into Rhode Island, New Hampshire, and we're going to try to move into the other states surrounding, like Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and Vermont, if possible, maybe even New York. So yeah, we've already got a few venues that we're booking shows. Josh is actually playing one of those shows tonight that he booked at the Raven, so in Massachusetts. So we've got that going on too, if anyone wants to come over to New England and play. And then eventually we're going to start building that out, to other parts of the country so that we have a bigger, community. We're trying to rebuild the community and rebuild live music. That's something that we don't have a ton of in the local scene out here in the United States anymore. So yeah, so that's pretty much everything that I've got to talk about today about getting things going. Raise Your Fist is already playing well. We're already well over 600, getting close to 700 plays on Spotify. The march to 1,000 is always the toughest, because that's when we start getting paid, is once we hit 1,000 streams, right? So thank you all so much for getting it to that point already. And this song is just such a blast. It's probably the fastest, maybe even the heaviest song on the album because of its energy. Maybe Warcry gives it a run for its money, but it's up there. It's got a lot more energy than all of the other songs, so it really gets you hyped up. And George did the guitars on that. Well, tell me about that.
It's definitely the fastest, Keith.
Yeah.
It's certainly the fastest out of the ones I played, for sure.
Yeah.
It took me a little bit to be able to actually hit it and have the timing right. But it was a lot of fun. I remember it was last July. You were releasing Starfall, and I think you did a StreamYard like this, actually.
Yeah.
And after the StreamYard, I sent you hey, I messed around with the intro to Raise Your Fist. And it was basically that little guitar lick at the beginning was all that was there. And there was no vocals on it yet. It was just a demo at this point.
Yeah.
And I always remember you wrote back, I heart you so much right now. So, because that was only the second thing I had worked on. Before that, I did Children of Time.
Right.
But um, I think that was a moment where I was like, yeah, you know what, I think this is going to work out pretty well, and fleshed out the rest of the song over time. And the other thing I remember about that song is I didn't have a guitar solo in the middle, and I sent it to you with everything else. And then you're like, hey, I think I hear another guitar solo in there. And so I was like, oh, really? this
Let's
is
get
a
done.
this is a fast song, but I guess I could throw another guitar solo in there. So it was fun to put together, and definitely a lot of work, and I grew as a musician as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think I have played anything quite that fast in a while. So it was good, good getting some chops.
Right. And that's what I love about collaboration with, like, you and everybody else that we've worked with on Destiny Calling, and what we're going to be working on with the next one, is every time we bring someone new in, we get pushed to our limits and we go beyond those limits and we learn something new. I'll tell you guys right now, the stuff that we wrote for album number 2 is a lot more complicated, even especially on the orchestrations and the keys sections of it too. So even I've had to spend a lot of time getting my chops back up, and it's been even harder for me because of my hand. My left arm is still not 100% where it needs to be. So while I'm doing all of this stuff, I'm basically only able to really play with dexterity with my right hand at the moment. So that does put a little bit of me in a tough situation. But the cool thing is I'm not playing live right now, right? So I've got time to mess around in the studio, and we can make all these amazing things before we get to that point. For a live version of Knightfall. And more than likely, what will happen is if we ever do get to that point, it'll be a stage show. Like, it'll be, you'll be coming to a show that's like Trans-Siberian Orchestra. It's going to be big. It's going to have story. It's going to have actors and singers on the stage. We're gonna do something like that if we get to that point. And we've grown a lot in this last year. So I really do want to thank everybody, for making this go along and become kind of a success the way that we have when we started with almost nothing, right? This last year, we went from like 160, 70 followers on Facebook to almost 3,200. Our YouTube grew from like 120 all the way to 11,000 plus, which was insane. So we've just grown a lot this last year, and we're hoping that by, continuing to put out these big, epic, well-produced albums, that will gain that fan base, and people will want to hear more and want to join our world. So yeah, one final thing. What else do you want to see from us? I know this is kind of at the end, but if you're watching this, I would love to know what else you would like us to do. What else would you want us to do? More lives like this? Would you want to do, like monthly get-togethers, like, where we can have a subscriber thing going on, and, me and George and, whoever else we can get in that day, we all get onto a call like this, either in Zoom or do a stream or something like that. And we just talk music, or heck, maybe even we write a song live on a live or something like that. Tell us what you would like to see from Knightfall. That would be a wonderful thing, so that we can start making more and more content that you guys would love to have in your newsfeed. Anything else you want to add, George?
I think you covered it, man.
Fair enough. Well, that's it for now. That's the update. So we're hoping to bring some more stuff into 2025. There's still a couple of singles that we have in the back burner that are almost finished, but not quite. And one of them is a cover. So it'll be a fun one too once we get that one finished and released. Let's see. Question: does anyone like Final Fantasy VII? I'm going to finish it and then on to either Silent Hill or Dragon Age. Well, George can talk about Final Fantasy all day.
I mean, I love the Final Fantasy series. Final Fantasy VII, I finished that like 26 years ago, but I think you're probably talking about the more recent remake of it, which I actually haven't played yet. I just haven't been able to find the time.
You've been busy.
Yeah. But yeah, one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah, Rachel. So that's Rachel talking in the Facebook chat, and she did Rebirth. So she's been actually like jumping onto Twitch and recording her play, and she's not doing it with any kind of guide. She's just playing and trying to figure everything out herself. So which is tough to do for a big game like Final Fantasy.
Did she play the original or no?
Oh yeah, she's huge Final Fantasy VII fan. She's Aerith all the way, man. Like anytime I need to get her a present, you get her Aerith.
Yeah,
That's
my first playthrough on Final Fantasy VII, before I knew how the story unfolded, I like Aerith was like one of my main party members, and then all of a sudden she leaves, and I'm like, oh crap, I gotta level somebody else up.
I still think that that's probably one of the most shocking scenes in all of video game history. Like I'd never seen a game where the main character is literally killed off halfway through the game.
I didn't believe it. I was like, okay, but like, how does she resurrect? How do I get her back?
She's the healer too, like, right? That's what I'm saying. What do you do when that moment happens? Like, I still like I had dropped my controller when that happened. I was not expecting that. You know, the FM what's it called? FMV back then. FMV for that was insane. Like I was not expecting the sword through the chest. Just was not. And it's one of the best games of all time. However, one of my favorite Final Fantasy, as much as I love 7, my favorite Final Fantasy has got to be 9. I'm sorry, Rachel. I know you love 7. That's okay. I love 7 too. But 9 is my all-time favorite, and I hear they're remaking it, so I'm so happy for this. You don't know. See, she's my wife is doing that right now. She's doing all the Final Fantasy 7 stuff. I can't wait for 9. Then I'm going to disappear for months on end playing 9 to its conclusion. That's what's going to happen. Yeah, 9 will be remade too. Yep. No, we're big fans, and actually, that's Final Fantasy 7. Well, not 7, but Final Fantasy in general, like the tactics that they have implemented in a couple of their games, is also a similar idea as to what we're having for our battle sequences in the video game that we're doing. We think that would be really cool, is to make like a tactics style battle section for the game whenever you get into a battle with something, or like with an army or something like that. So we're still figuring all that out. That's the core idea for the game that George and I want to do for the battles, which is pretty nifty.
Yeah, Tactics was one of my favorite Final Fantasies as well. Loved 7, but from a battle standpoint, Tactics was my favorite, and it also had other great aspects of it as well.
Right.
And Cloud makes an appearance in Tactics as well, if you know how to get him. So it was a really good game. I heard something about they might be remaking that one too, so that might be
probably. It's worth it, because like you were saying, you were reading that a lot of people really want more games with those tactics style battle sequences for them to play. So
there's a lot more of them out now. I remember looking like 10 years ago. I was like, I want games that are similar to Final Fantasy Tactics battles, and I don't want it to be Fire Emblem and a few of the others that were out that you knew of. And there really wasn't much. I found like a game here or there, and this was like 2014.
Yeah.
Fast forward to like a few years ago, it's like there are a ton of them releasing every couple months. There's like, you can't play them all. It's too many of them.
That's true. It's getting to that point. But if you have everything, together, with this perfect blend. It's gonna be awesome. Like the ideas that we have, if we can execute on those, it's gonna be great. One of the ideas that you and I had to incorporate music into it. Adrian's talking in the chat about it's great to see us talk together and giving updates on the plans and stuff. And I've talked to him about the video game a little bit too, because we're gonna need voice actors and musicians and stuff to help us with some of the stuff. One of the ideas, we all here are like fantasy geeks. Like that's what Knightfall is about. We're fantasy geeks, so we love Lord of the Rings. We love even the sci-fi fantasies like Star Wars. things like Star Trek, on that side of things, but we love, King Arthur. We love all that stuff. So I also love things like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Xena and Hercules and stuff like that too. Each of these shows at one point in time has had a musical episode where everybody just gets stuck in song, singing, some kind of magic, something happens, right? So we want to incorporate stuff like that into the game too. So we want to create like a town or a city that is under an enchantment where literally everybody is in song in various different styles too, right? Not necessarily metal. We could have jazz, we could have classical, we could have pop, we could have country. Like it could be one of those things, and they have to figure out. Like the quest is, you have to figure out how to break this enchantment, but you have to go through this entire sequence in the town or the city. So we want to do stuff like that too, just to like bring that nostalgic feel of what we used to love watching in those shows, to the game. Kind of just take little bits and pieces of everything that we love and bring it together in this one universe. And that's the idea for Drakia. That's what it's called. The story is called The Warriors of Drakia, and the world is called Drakia. Yeah. So let's see. Adrian says Final Fantasy VII is fantastic. And then we've got some people that may be behind the stream because they're commenting on stuff that we've already talked about, it looks like. But yeah, my brother-in-law would freak if we were able to pull off something like that. That'd be really cool. Yeah, she said it's lagging. Anyway, that's it for now, guys. That's the future of Knightfall for the moment. There's more. I haven't. Look, I've kept some things to myself during this live stream too. So there are some things that I have not talked about. There's more stuff coming. There's more collaborators coming in that I have not talked about. So we'll be doing this again at some point as we start to add more people, because we will be adding a bassist. We will be adding probably like a second rhythm guitar just for some little differences to sonically to make it fill out a little bit more, and a bunch of vocalists. So I still haven't figured out who's going to sing everything yet. So there's still a lot of that to be decided as well. And then of course, one of the songs that we have on there is again a very 80s song. And when I showed that one to George was like, "I'm on it. I'm doing it right now."
Yeah.
Like,
I did the guitars for that one already. I think I did those back in June. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take this and I'm going to put the guitars to it and see what Keith says about it.
Yeah. No, he just, as soon as he heard that one, he was like, "Yoink, I'm doing it," which was funny. And then, funnily enough, I've let my three children listen to it. That's their favorite one. They sing it every single time it plays, and the demo plays in the car. They sing it, so they have a blast with it as well. Definitely.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite too. They're all the songs are good, but
yeah,
that one, I won't give too much information, but it just with the demo you sent me, it was like George Lynch was playing, and George Lynch is one of my idols, like my favorite guitar player of all time. I mean, of course, my name's George, his name is George, plus he shreds. So when I heard it, I was just like, wow, this is so something that George Lynch would play. I got to do it justice.
Right. Well, that was one of the things that George and I discovered that we had in common from fairly early on in our conversations, is that we both love Dokken. So Dokken was a big staple of me loving the 80s metal bands, and George Lynch is one of my favorite guitarists from the 80s, as well as Rep Beach, who played for Winger and at one point was playing for Dokken as well. So I love those guys, and they both kind of helped change the face of the way that people play guitar too. Without them, I'm not sure things would be the same. There's a bunch of them from the 80s that really did generate a new style of playing that is tough to mimic these days. There's not a lot of guitarists who do it anymore. So I love the fact that you love Dokken and that you love to play around with the riffs and stuff like that, like George does.
Do you remember the video that George Lynch did back in the 90s, and he was talking about this Gothic octave?
Yes, actually, I do remember that.
I watched that all the time to just when I was an amateur player trying to learn stuff. But it's funny because in that song, I used the Gothic octave. I don't think I played it the same way that he does because his finger stretch is quite impressive. I don't know that I can
Yeah.
do it, but I played part of the song has the Gothic octave mixed in.
See, and that's why it's fun, you know, because we like to pay tribute to the people who influence us. So there's a lot of little Easter eggs and little things that we do in the music that people just don't realize. I bet you, how many people have seen the Starfall video, right? You know, over 100,000 views on that video. How many people have seen that and not noticed that there's some Easter eggs in there, right? I'm going to give you a hint. Every single time in Starfall, the area changes, right? Every time you'll notice that there's names that pop up when the game character enters the different areas. And if you look at those names, those are Easter eggs to Anaria and the old Evens Ethos days and the songs that we created back in 2009. So fun fact, if you go watch the video, you'll see those little Easter. So that's what we try to do. We want to keep throwing Easter eggs into stuff and, you know, make people go, oh, I know this. Oh, I know this. And that's what I love about being influenced by all these wonderful things growing up. And that's what we want to bring to the table. We want to bring all of that nostalgia and have people go, oh, it's that. I see it now, you know, and then remember how much fun it was watching the thing that may have, you know, inspired what we do in either the game or, you know, in the music itself. So, but that's it, guys. I think there's really not much else to tell unless anyone else has any additional questions or comments or anything they want to say before we wrap up. I'll take silence as golden. All right. So again, I want to welcome George to the team. So again, he is now a permanent member of Knightfall. If you go check out the website, it has now been updated to reflect that as well with a bio, so he's got the bio, and I took him and I changed the pages around, so we have a guest musician page, and then we have the about Knightfall page with the permanent members in there now. So we are growing one step at a time. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. If you have, all right, I'll see you guys on the flip side. I am doing better, and thank you for everybody that messaged me and left comments about, you know, hoping that I'd get, you know, well soon and that I look better and when I was sharing photos and stuff like that. I appreciate the support through the journey because, you know, it was rough there for a while, being in bed for several months really, before I could really start to get up and move around and feel better. So everybody's been just fantastic about it, and yeah, rock on. And remember, and I like saying this. This is always my ending quote. True strength is not required. It's not discovered until it's required. There we go. All right, guys. Have a good night.